I was dead for 7 minutes. That is what the doctors told me later. 7 minutes. But what I experienced did not feel like minutes at all. It felt like something far longer, something I still struggle to explain. I have been a pilot for over 40 years. I trusted instruments more than feelings. I believed in what I could see, measure, and control. The sky was my home, but it was also something I respected deeply. That day, everything changed. It started like any normal flight. Calm sky, clear visibility, the kind of day pilots enjoy. I remember adjusting the controls, hearing the soft hum of the engines. Everything felt right. And then something did not. A strange vibration, small at first, almost unnoticeable, but I felt it. Maybe you have felt something like that. A tiny signal your body sends, but you ignore it. I should not have ignored it. Within seconds, that small vibration turned into something violent. The controls stiffened, warning lights flashed. The calm sky turned into chaos. I remember my hands tightening around the controls. My breathing changed, fast, sharp. Stay calm, I told myself. That is what training teaches you. But this was different. Something was wrong, beyond normal failure. The plane jerked, hard, then again, and in that moment, I felt it. Not fear, not panic, something else, something deeper, like a quiet voice inside me whispering, "This is it." The last thing I remember inside the cockpit was the sound, a loud, tearing sound, and then nothing. No pain, no impact, no crash, just silence. Complete silence. At first, I thought I was unconscious, but then I realized I was aware. I could think. I could feel something, but I could not feel my body. That was the first moment I knew something was not normal. It was dark, not the kind of darkness you see at night. This was different. This was endless, like I was floating in something that had no shape, no direction, no up, no down, just existence. I tried to move, but I had no body to move, and yet I was there, fully aware. That was when the fear came, a slow, cold fear. If I am here, then where is my body? And then something happened, a sound, very faint, like a distant echo. At first, I could not understand it, but slowly it became clearer. Voices, people talking, rushed, urgent. And then I heard something that changed everything. Clear, a loud shock. For a second, I felt something, like a jolt through nothingness, then silence again. That was when I realized those voices were not here. They were somewhere else, and somehow I was hearing them. Maybe you have never thought about this, but what if your mind does not stay where your body is? What if it can drift? The darkness around me started to shift, not visually, but emotionally. It felt heavier, like something was watching me. I could not see anything, but I knew I was not alone. That feeling, it is hard to describe. It was not a person, not exactly. More like a presence, something that did not need a form. I tried to speak. Is anyone there? But there was no voice. No sound came out. Still, I felt something respond. Not in words, in feeling. A deep, overwhelming awareness. And suddenly, the darkness began to change. Far away, something appeared. A small light, very faint. At first, I thought it was nothing, just my mind trying to create something familiar. But it grew, slowly, softly. The more I focused on it, the more it felt real. And something inside me wanted to go toward it, but at the same time, something held me back. That presence, it felt closer now, stronger, heavier, almost like it was testing me, or watching what I would choose. The light became brighter, warm, peaceful, and for a moment all fear disappeared. I felt calm, a calm I had never felt in my entire life. No stress, no memory of pain, no weight, just peace. But then something unexpected happened. Images, flashes, not random. My life. I saw things I had forgotten. Moments from childhood. My first flight. My wife smiling. My son running toward me when he was young. Even small things. Things that felt unimportant before. But now they felt heavy, important, real. And then the painful ones. The moments I ignored people. The times I chose work over family. The times I said things I should not have said. I did not just see them, I felt them deeply, as if I was living them again, but from the other side. That was when it hit me. This was not just memory. This was something else, something that made me understand, truly understand. And the light, it was closer now, so close. I felt like if I moved just a little more, I would reach it. And somehow, I knew if I reached it, there would be no coming back. That was the moment everything changed. Because suddenly, through all that peace, all that calm, I heard something again. A voice, clear this time. Stay with us. And just like that, the peace cracked, the darkness pulled, the light faded, and I felt something I had not felt since this began. My body, pain, heavy, sharp, real. I was being pulled back, hard, like something did not want me to leave. But something else was forcing me back. The light disappeared, the presence gone, the darkness collapsed. And then I opened my eyes, bright lights above me, people shouting, machines beeping, my chest burned, my body felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. And the first thing I realized, I was back, alive, but something inside me was not the same anymore. When I opened my eyes, I did not feel relief. That is the strange part people do not expect. You think coming back to life would feel like winning something, but it did not. It felt heavy, like I had been pulled away from something important, something peaceful, something I did not fully understand, but somehow trusted. The hospital room was bright, too bright. The kind of light that makes your eyes hurt. I remember blinking slowly, trying to focus. Faces hovered above me. Doctors, nurses. Their voices were fast, sharp, full of urgency, but I could not connect with them. It felt like I was still somewhere else. Half here, half not. Can you hear me? A voice came closer. I wanted to answer, but my mouth did not move. Or maybe it did. I just could not feel it. My chest rose slowly. Pain spread through it like fire. Every breath felt borrowed, like it did not belong to me. That was the moment I realized I had returned to my body, but it did not feel like mine anymore. Maybe you have never thought about this, but what if your body is just something you wear? And when you leave it, even for a moment, coming back feels wrong. Hours passed, or maybe days. Time felt broken. I drifted in and out of sleep, but it was not normal sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt it again. That place, that darkness, that quiet, and sometimes the light. Not always clear, not always close, but it was there, like it was waiting. Watching. I did not tell anyone at first. How could I? What would I even say? I died and something was there. People do not listen to things like that. They explain it away. Brain activity, hallucination, stress, but this was not that. I have flown through storms, through danger, through moments where death felt close. I know what fear does to the mind. This was not fear. This was something else, something real. One evening, a doctor sat beside me, older man, calm voice, the kind that makes you feel like he has seen everything. You were gone for 7 minutes, he said quietly. 7 minutes. Again, that number. It sounded so small, so simple. But inside me, it felt like a lifetime had passed. "Do you remember anything?" he asked. I looked at him. For a moment, I thought about telling him everything: the darkness, the presence, the light, the feeling of being somewhere beyond this world. But instead, I just said, "I remember silence." He nodded slowly, like he had heard that before. And maybe he had, but I could see it in his eyes. He did not understand. Not really. And how could he? You cannot explain something like that with words. It is like trying to describe a dream that felt more real than life itself. That night, something changed. I woke up suddenly. No noise, no movement, just awake. The room was quiet. Machines beeped softly. The world felt normal again. But inside me, something was not. I felt it instantly. That same feeling from before. That awareness, that presence. I was not alone. I slowly turned my head. Nothing. Empty room. But the feeling remained. Stronger now. Closer. And then I heard it. Not with my ears. Inside, a voice. Soft, calm, not loud, but impossible to ignore. You saw it. My heart started beating faster. I wanted to move, to call someone, but I could not. Fear crept in, slow and cold. What was it? I thought. I did not speak, but somehow it heard me. You were not meant to stay. The words were simple, but they carried weight. Heavy weight. Who are you? I tried to ask. Silence. For a moment, nothing. And then a feeling. Not words. A feeling of knowing. Like the answer existed, but my mind could not fully understand it. It was not a person, not something human, something beyond that. And suddenly, images returned. Faster this time, stronger. I saw my life again, but different. Not just memories, consequences, ripples, every small action spreading outward. A word I spoke years ago, still affecting someone. A moment I ignored, changing a path forever. It was overwhelming. I felt it all, and I understood something I had never understood before. Nothing is small. Nothing is forgotten. Everything matters. Tears rolled down my face. Real tears, warm, heavy. That was when the voice returned. Now you know. I felt a deep pressure in my chest. Not pain, something deeper, emotion, regret, understanding. Why show me this? I asked silently. And then the answer came. You were given time. Those words, they changed everything. Given time, that means it could have ended right there, in that darkness, at that light, 7 minutes, and it would have been over, but it was not. I was sent back. Why? That question stayed with me, still stays with me. The presence began to fade, slowly, like it was pulling away. But before it disappeared completely, one last feeling came through. Not fear, not warning, something else. A quiet, gentle certainty. Do not waste it. And just like that, it was gone. The room felt empty again, normal, but I was not. I lay there staring at the ceiling, breathing slowly, feeling every heartbeat, every second, every moment, different now, because I knew something most people do not, something most people never get to feel. Life is not just time passing. It is something far more fragile, far more important, and I had almost lost it completely. After that night, I stopped being the same man. Not suddenly, not in a dramatic way people could see, but slowly, deeply, something inside me shifted. The hospital discharged me a few days later. The doctors called it a miracle. Strong heart, fast response, good timing. They had reasons, scientific reasons, but none of those reasons explained what I felt, what I saw, what I knew. When I stepped outside the hospital, the air felt different, cooler, sharper, alive. I stood there longer than I should have, just breathing, watching, feeling. Maybe you have done that before, paused for no reason, and suddenly everything feels more real. That was me, except it did not go away. Days passed, then weeks. I returned home, but it did not feel like the same place. My chair, my table, the quiet sound of the clock on the wall. Everything felt familiar, yet distant, like I was visiting my own life. My wife noticed it first. "You are quieter," she said one evening. I smiled, but I did not answer, because how do you explain silence when your mind has seen something beyond words? I started noticing things I never noticed before. Small things. The way her hands moved when she talked. The slight pause in her voice when she was tired. The way sunlight touched the floor in the morning. Before, I would have missed all of that. Now, it felt important. Everything felt important, but not everything felt peaceful. Because along with that awareness came something else. The memories, not just the good ones, the ones I wanted to forget. They returned, stronger, clearer. I would sit alone sometimes and suddenly feel it again. That moment from the review. The things I said, the times I chose wrong. And this time, there was no escape. I felt them deeply, like echoes that refused to fade. One night, I found myself sitting in the dark. No lights, no sound, just me and those thoughts. And then it happened again. That feeling, the presence, not as strong as before, but there. Close enough to notice. My heart slowed, not from fear, but from recognition. "You came back," I whispered softly. Silence, but not empty. A quiet awareness filled the room, like something was listening, watching, waiting. I closed my eyes, and for a moment, I felt it again. That place, that endless space, not fully, but just enough to remind me. "You said I was given time," I said slowly, still no words. But I felt something respond, a soft, steady feeling like confirmation. Time for what? This time, the answer did not come immediately. Instead, images, different ones, not my past, my present. My wife sitting alone while I worked late nights. My son growing up, learning to live without me around. People I passed by every day without seeing them. Moments I treated as nothing, but now they felt like everything. And then the feeling came, clearer than before. "You already know." I opened my eyes slowly. The room was still dark, still quiet, but inside me there was no confusion, no doubt, just understanding. Time was not given for something big, not for fame, not for achievement, not for proving anything. It was given for the small things, the moments, the connections, the things we ignore, thinking they will always be there. That realization hit me harder than anything else, because it meant I had been living wrong. Not completely wrong, but incomplete. The next morning, I did something I had not done in years. I sat down with my wife and just talked. No phone, no distractions, just talked. At first, it felt strange, like learning something new. But then it felt right. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. And slowly, I changed. Not perfectly. I still had moments where old habits returned. But now, I noticed them. I caught them, and I chose differently. That is the difference. Not becoming perfect, but becoming aware. Maybe you understand this, or maybe you will one day. We live like we have endless time, like tomorrow is guaranteed, but it is not. I know that now, because for 7 minutes, I had no tomorrow. And in that place, I saw what truly mattered and what did not. The strange part is the fear of death disappeared, not completely, but enough, because what I felt there was not just darkness. It was also peace, and something beyond both, something I still cannot fully explain. But I do not need to anymore, because the question is not what happens after we die. The real question is, what are we doing before that happens? And for the first time in my life, I started living with that question in mind. I did not think much about death before that day, not deeply. Of course, I knew it existed. We all do. But I treated it like something far away, something that belonged to later. Not anymore. After those 7 minutes, death stopped feeling like an ending and started feeling like a doorway I had almost walked through. Months passed. Life became quieter, but richer. I flew less, not because I was afraid, but because something inside me no longer chased the same things. The sky still called me, but not the way it used to. Now, I found meaning in places I once ignored. Mornings became important. Sitting in silence became important. Listening, truly listening, became important. And time became the most valuable thing I had, because I knew something most people do not want to accept. It runs out. One evening, I sat alone on the porch. The sun was setting slowly, orange light stretching across the sky, the kind of view I had seen thousands of times from above. But this time, it felt different, more real. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and for a brief moment, I felt it again. Not the darkness, not the fear, but that calm, that deep, quiet peace. It came gently, like a memory, or maybe a reminder. You are still here. The feeling was soft, but clear. I did not question it anymore. I did not try to understand everything, because I realized something simple. Not everything is meant to be explained. Some things are meant to be felt. Maybe you are listening to this and wondering if it is real, if something like this can truly happen. I understand that doubt. I used to have it too. But let me tell you something honestly. When you are there, when everything stops, when your body is no longer yours, there is no confusion. There is no question, only awareness, only truth. And that truth is quiet, but powerful. Life is not just about surviving. It is not about how long you live. It is about how deeply you live in the time you are given. Because when those moments came, when I saw my life unfold, it was not the big achievements that mattered. It was the small things, the conversations, the kindness, the moments I chose to be present or not. That is what stayed. That is what had weight. Everything else faded. I opened my eyes and looked at the horizon. The sun was almost gone now. Darkness slowly taking its place. And for the first time in my life, darkness did not scare me, because I knew it was not empty. It was not the end. It was simply part of something bigger, something we all will face one day. And maybe, just maybe, there is more waiting there than we can ever imagine. I took a deep breath, slow, calm, grateful. That word grateful, it became part of me now. Grateful for time, grateful for moments, grateful for a second chance I never expected. 7 minutes, that is all it took to change everything, to show me what truly matters, to remind me that life is fragile but also meaningful. And as I sat there watching the last light disappear, I made a quiet promise to myself. No more wasting time. No more ignoring what matters. No more living like tomorrow is guaranteed, because it is not. And when my time comes again, whenever that may be, I will not resist it. I will not fear it. I will simply understand, because I have already been there. And I came back for a reason. After that day, I no longer fear death. But more importantly, I finally understand life.